I stared at the cardboard box containing 5 years of my career, my awards for top sales performances gleaming under the harsh office lights. Harrison Industries, the company my father had helped build before his death, was about to learn a valuable lesson about underestimating the quiet one. "You have until 5 p.m. to clear out," my Uncle James announced from the doorway, his expensive suit matching his smug expression. My cousins, Marcus and Victoria, hovered behind him, barely containing their glee. "The board has decided to go in a different direction." Different direction. That's what they called giving my position to Marcus, who'd spent more time on golf courses than in boardrooms. The same Marcus who'd lost 3 major clients last quarter but somehow kept his job because family looks after family. I carefully placed my latest achievement plaque in the box, Top Financial Analyst 2024. The irony wasn't lost on me. They were firing their best performer to promote someone who'd never even read a financial statement. "Don't forget to hand over your building access card," Victoria chirped, twirling her designer handbag. "We wouldn't want any unfortunate incidents." I suppressed a smile as I removed my access card from its lanyard. If they only knew that Tomorrow Holdings LLC, the company through which I owned this entire building, was my most carefully guarded secret. Not even my father had known before he passed that I'd been quietly buying up real estate using my mother's inheritance. "Of course, Victoria," I said quietly, maintaining my composed facade. "Though I should mention that the quarterly lease review is coming up. I'm sure you've received the notice from Tomorrow Holdings." Uncle James waved dismissively. "Marcus will handle all that now. He's got real business sense, unlike some people who just rode their father's coattails." I placed my last personal item in the box, a small silver frame holding a photo of my father and me standing in front of this very building 10 years ago. "Some people understand business better than others," I replied, thinking of the carefully crafted clause in their lease agreement that was about to change everything. "Is that a threat?" Marcus stepped forward, his face reddening. "Because I've got big plans for Harrison Industries and they don't include you." I picked up my box, the weight of 5 years' dedication feeling surprisingly light. "No threat, cousin. Just an observation about the nature of business. Sometimes the biggest surprises come in the quietest packages." "Always with the cryptic comments," Victoria rolled her eyes. "This is why you never fit in here. Business is about action, about power. Not about sitting quietly in your office running numbers." If she only knew how many numbers I'd been running. How many properties I'd acquired. How many companies I secretly controlled. While they were busy flaunting their inherited positions, I'd built something they couldn't imagine. "You're right about one thing," I said, walking past them. "Business is about power. I guess we'll all find out tomorrow who really has it." "What's that supposed to mean?" Uncle James called after me, but I was already heading toward the elevator. In the lobby, I passed Sarah, my uncle's secretary who'd been with the company since my father's time. She slipped me a sympathetic smile and a folded note. "I'm sorry about this," she whispered. "But maybe it's for the best." Outside, the late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the city streets. I placed my box in the trunk of my car, not the newest model, not the flashiest, but paid for with my own money. As I closed the trunk, I caught my reflection in the window. I didn't look like someone who'd just lost everything. I looked like someone who was about to win. My phone buzzed with a text from my lawyer. "Documents ready. Notice will be served at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Are you sure about this?" I typed back a single word: proceed. Driving home, I thought about tomorrow. About Uncle James's face when he realizes that his company has 24 hours to vacate their headquarters. About Victoria's reaction when she learns that her reliable building owner is actually the person they just fired. About Marcus's expression when he understands that his big plans for Harrison Industries will never materialize. But mostly I thought about my father's words from years ago. "In business, son, it's not about who has the biggest office. It's about who owns the ground beneath their feet." Tomorrow they would all understand exactly what he meant. I arrived at Harrison Industries at precisely 8:45 a.m. the next morning, parking across the street to watch the show unfold. Employees streamed into the building, coffee cups in hand, blissfully unaware that their workday was about to take an unexpected turn. At 8:55 I spotted Uncle James's Mercedes pulling into his reserved space, followed closely by Marcus's new Porsche, probably bought with the bonus meant for my department. Victoria arrived minutes later, already on her phone, likely spreading the news of my dramatic exit. My phone buzzed. A message from my lawyer, serving papers now. Security team standing by. I watched through my car window as confusion spread through the building. First, it was just a ripple, employees gathering in confused clusters near the entrance, security guards explaining that their access cards had been deactivated. Then came the wave I'd been waiting for. Uncle James burst through the front doors, his face a shade of red I'd never seen before, waving what I knew was the eviction notice. My phone immediately lit up with calls. James Harrison, Marcus Harrison, Victoria Harrison, one after another. I declined them all. Instead, I opened the text message that had just arrived from my property management company. All access codes changed as requested. Building secured. Security team in position. It was time. I stepped out of my car, straightening my suit, Armani, though they'd never noticed before. The crowd parted as I approached, whispers spreading like wildfire. Uncle James spun around, eviction notice crumpled in his fist. You, he snarled, realization dawning on his face. Tomorrow Holdings. It's you? Good morning, Uncle James, I said calmly. I see you've received the notice regarding your lease termination. This is ridiculous, he shouted, waving the paper. You can't just evict us. We have rights. I pulled out a thick folder from my briefcase. Actually, I can. Section 7. Paragraph 3 of your lease agreement clearly states that any violation of corporate governance, including wrongful termination of key personnel, constitutes grounds for immediate lease termination. Would you like to review the documentation of yesterday's events? Victoria stepped forward, her designer heels clicking on the pavement. This is insane. You're just bitter because you couldn't handle being replaced by someone more qualified. More qualified? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Victoria, let's review Marcus's qualifications. 3 lost clients last quarter. 2 failed project launches. And let's not forget the $2 million accounting error that I quietly fixed before it reached the board. Marcus pushed through the crowd, his face pale. Dad, do something. He can't do this to us. But Uncle James was already on his phone, presumably talking to his lawyers. His face grew paler with each passing moment as he presumably learned what I already knew. The eviction was legally binding, and Tomorrow Holdings had every right to enforce it. 24 hours. I announced loud enough for everyone to hear. That's how long you have to vacate the premises. Any belongings left behind after that time will be considered abandoned property. 24 hours? Uncle James's voice cracked. We can't possibly move an entire company in 24 hours. We have clients, contracts, meetings. The same amount of time you gave me to clear out my office, I reminded him. Nothing personal, just business, right? Victoria grabbed my arm, her perfectly manicured nails digging into my sleeve. You can't do this to us. We're family. I gently removed her hand. Family? Was it family when you spread rumors about my competence to the board? When you sabotaged my client presentations? When you took credit for my financial strategies? The crowd of employees had grown larger, many filming the scene on their phones. I knew by noon this would be all over social media, but I didn't care. 5 years of careful planning had led to this moment. Oh, and one more thing, I pulled another document from my briefcase. This is a notice of audit for Harrison Industries. My team has uncovered some interesting discrepancies in the books. I'm sure the SC will find them fascinating. Uncle James lunged forward, but his security team, my security team now, held him back. You'll regret this, he spat. I'll bury you in litigation. I smiled, thinking of the extensive documentation I had gathered over the years. Every email, every meeting recording, every piece of evidence carefully preserved. I look forward to discovery, I said calmly. I'm sure the board will be very interested in some of the documents I've collected. Now you have exactly 23 hours and 45 minutes to vacate my building. I suggest you get started. As I turned to leave, Marcus called out, his voice shaking, What about the company? What about our jobs? I stopped and looked back at them. You should have thought about that before you decided to fire the only person who actually understood how to run it. The next 24 hours transformed Harrison Industries from a family empire into a cautionary tale of corporate hubris. I watched it all unfold from my real office. the penthouse suite across the street that had served as Tomorrow Holdings headquarters for the past 5 years. Moving trucks arrived in a steady stream, employees hurriedly packed their belongings, and executives huddled in corners making frantic phone calls. By midnight, most of Harrison Industries had been cleared out, leaving behind only the ghosts of their arrogance and the echo of their mistakes. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing with messages from family members. "Mom, how could you do this to your uncle? He raised you after your father died. Aunt Patricia, you've destroyed this family's legacy. Victoria, no one will ever do business with you after this betrayal. Marcus, please, we can work something out. I'll give you your job back." I ignored them all, focusing instead on the stack of offers on my desk from companies interested in leasing the building. The irony wasn't lost on me. The same businesses that Harrison Industries had failed to secure as clients were now eagerly seeking to occupy their former space. Sarah, my uncle's former secretary and my longtime ally, knocked on my office door. "Your uncle's here to see you," she said, now officially part of Tomorrow Holdings' executive team. "He says he won't leave until you hear him out." I nodded, straightening my tie. "Send him in. It's time he learned the whole truth." Uncle James looked different from the man who'd smugly fired me yesterday. His suit was wrinkled, his hair disheveled, and his usual commanding presence diminished. "You've made your point," he said, dropping heavily into the chair across from my desk. "Name your price." "Price?" I raised an eyebrow. "For what exactly?" "To make this go away. To give us back our company, our building, our reputation. Whatever you want, board position, CEO title, majority shares, it's yours." I leaned back in my chair, enjoying the role reversal. "You still don't get it, do you? This isn't about negotiation. This is about justice, not just for me but for everyone you've wronged over the years." I pressed a button on my desk and the wall of screens behind me came to life, displaying years of financial records, emails, and surveillance footage. "Let's talk about the real reason you fired me." It wasn't about Marcus's qualifications. It was about what I discovered in the company books. His face paled as he recognized the documents. "How did you get access to the proof of your embezzlement? Your tax evasion? The illegal contracts? I've had access to everything for years, Uncle James. Did you really think I spent all that time in my office just running numbers, as Victoria put it?" I stood up and walked to the window, looking down at the building that had once been Harrison Industries headquarters. "You know what the funny thing is? If you had just let me do my job, if you had listened when I tried to warn you about the company's direction, none of this would have happened. But you were all too busy protecting your positions to notice that the real threat wasn't from outside, it was from your own greed." "What are you going to do?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "I've already done it. The SEC received an anonymous tip this morning. The FBI has probably already started their investigation. And the board." I smiled, turning back to face him. "Well, let's just say they're very interested in my evidence." "You'll go down with us," he threatened weakly. "You were part of the company too." "No, Uncle James. I was never really part of your company. I was building my own right under your nose. Tomorrow Holdings isn't just a real estate company. It's a conglomerate that now owns controlling interests in half the businesses you failed to secure as clients. And unlike Harrison Industries, we operate legally, ethically, and profitably." My phone buzzed with a news alert. Harrison Industries under federal investigation, CEO and executive team face criminal charges. "You should go," I said, turning back to the window. "Your lawyers will probably want to start preparing your defense." As he stumbled toward the door, he paused. "Your father. He would be ashamed of what you've done to his company." I laughed, genuinely amused. "My father's company died the day you took over and turned it into your personal piggy bank. What I've done is build something he would actually be proud of, something built on merit, not manipulation." After he left, Sarah brought in a stack of newspapers. The headlines told the story. "Family empire crumbles overnight. Tomorrow Holdings emerges as real estate giant. Harrison Industries. A tale of corruption and comeuppance." My phone buzzed again, a message from Victoria. "The family is gathering at Aunt Patricia's tonight to discuss damage control. You should be there." I replied with a photo of my father and me standing in front of the building, taken just before he died. "I'm exactly where I need to be." Over the next few weeks, The full extent of Harrison Industries' corruption came to light. Uncle James and Marcus faced criminal charges for financial fraud. Victoria's role in covering up the illegal activities ended her aspirations for a corporate career. The family name, once synonymous with success, became a cautionary tale in business schools. Meanwhile, Tomorrow Holdings flourished. I transformed the Harrison Industries building into an innovation hub, leasing space to startups and ethical businesses. Sarah helped me establish a scholarship fund for underprivileged students interested in business and finance, named in honor of my father. 1 year later, I sat in my office reviewing the latest acquisition proposals. The empire I'd built had grown beyond even my expectations, but I never forgot the lessons learned from watching Harrison Industries fall. Success built on corruption eventually crumbles, but success built on integrity stands the test of time. My assistant interrupted with an urgent message. The remaining Harrison Industries board members wanted to meet. They were considering filing for bankruptcy and wanted to discuss selling their remaining assets. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out my father's old business card, the last one he'd printed before his death. On the back he'd written a note to me. Remember, son, true power isn't in having your name on the door. It's in knowing that what's behind that door was built with integrity. I sent a message back to the board. Meeting accepted. Let's discuss the future, one built on honest foundations this time. As the sun set over the city, I stood at my office window, looking at the skyline my father once dreamed of conquering. He never got the chance to build his empire, but I had built something even better, a legacy that would stand the test of time, built not on family names or inherited positions, but on the principles he taught me: integrity, patience, and the understanding that true success isn't about revenge. It's about building something worthy of the lessons learned along the way.